Hello friends, welcome to this video lecture on influence line diagrams for bridge trusses. Now in some last videos we have seen how to draw the influence line diagrams for simply supported beams, for overhanging beams and for cantilever beams. Also we have discussed the applications of these influence line diagrams when beams are subjected to dead loads or live loads. Now in this particular video we'll be going to discuss how to draw the influence line diagrams for bridge trusses. Now before studying the influence line diagrams for trusses, first of all we'll see the different types of trusses. Now the first type is a thorough type truss. Now in this thorough type truss, if we see this diagram, here the trusses are connected to this cross girder. This is a cross girder. Now this cross girder is connected to the bottom panel joints of these trusses. So here in this case the rod is laid over these cross girders, or rail is laid over these cross girders, and the vehicle load is allowed to transfer the load through these cross girders to these trusses. Here in this case, if you observe, the truss is supported at the bottom of it. Now we'll see the next type of truss, that is a deck type truss. Now in this deck type truss, same truss we have, it is just like inverted truss. Now here in this case, if we see now these cross girders, the cross girders are connected at the top panel joints of these trusses. Now in this case, the rod or rails are laid over these cross girders at the top panel joints of these trusses, and then the vehicle load is allowed to transfer the load to the trusses through this cross girder. So in the image also we can see the real example of this deck type truss, and here the real example of thorough type truss. Now let us see the influence line diagram for trusses. Now in influence line diagram for trusses, we have to draw influence line diagrams first for reactions, as trusses are supported, and then reactions we have to first find, and then influence line diagram for member forces. As we know that the members of the trusses are always subjected to the axial forces, hence we need to draw the variation of the member forces when a truss is subjected to the live loads. So here we have to draw the influence line diagram for reactions also, and then influence line diagram for member forces. Now to understand this, we'll take example of this influence line diagram for a Pratt truss. Now the question is that draw influence line diagram for reactions, then for forces in top chord members, then forces in bottom chord members, then forces in vertical members, and then forces in inclined members. So if we see now the given type of the truss, it is called as a Pratt truss. Now in this particular video, we will be focusing only on influence line diagram for reactions and then forces in top chord members. The influence line diagram for rest of these members we'll see in the next video. Now let us first draw the influence line diagram for reactions. Now for that again I am taking the example of this Pratt truss. Now here if you see this now Pratt truss, here U1, U2, U3, U4, U5, U6, U7, these are the top joints or top panel joints of the trusses. So we can see all these top members, these are U1, U2, U2, U3, U3, U4, U4, U5, U5, U6 and U6, U7. So here total 6 top members we have. Similarly at the bottom we can see L1, L2, L2, L3, L3, L4, L4, L5, L5, L6 and L6, L7. These are the bottom chord members of these trusses. So now in this case, now here in this truss particularly, if we see here total we have 6 panel. This is panel number 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5 and this is 6. Now in this case once again if you observe this truss, here you can see this is symmetric about this member U4, L4. It is symmetric on left hand side as well as on right hand side. Now in this particular case, if we see now this truss, it is just like a simply supported beam which supports here over this R1 and R2. Now here in this case we have to just draw the influence line diagram for reaction at 1 and reaction at 2. Now it is just like a simply supported beam, and here these are the reaction at A and this is the reaction at B. Now as we know the influence line diagram for reaction at A and for reaction at B for a simply supported beam, just like the same diagram we have to draw for the prat truss. So it is very simple. It is just like a simply supported beam. When unit load moves from left to right end, how reaction at 1 varies? It varies from 1 to 0. So it is same like influence line diagram for RA, and similarly this is influence line diagram for R2. It is just like influence line diagram for RB. Now we'll go for influence line diagram for forces in top chord members. Now to draw the influence line diagram for forces in top chord members, let us take one example of this member force, that is member U to U3. So we will be discussing now the member force PU to U3, and when this truss is subjected to unit load, when unit load moves from L1 to L7, how this force in member U to U3 varies. And for particular variation of this member force U to U3, we'll draw the influence line diagram. Now for that we need to take a section. Now when we are taking a section here, this section cuts the member U to U3, U to L3 and L to L3. Now when we are taking a section here, it divides the truss into again two parts. So now we have to consider unit load which moves from L1 to L7. Now when unit load moves from L1 to L7, again we need to divide this particular case like this. When unit load moves from L1 to L2 first, and then when unit load moves from L3 to L7. So here in this case, first we'll discuss when unit load moves from L1 to L2. Now when unit load is moving from L1 to L2, we will consider the right hand side of the section. We will be considering the right hand side of the section. So on the right hand side of the section, if we see, if we are taking a section over here, it cuts these three members and all the forces in these members get exposed. So here we can see the force in member U to U3, that is PU to U3, then it is PU to L3, and then it is PL to L3. Now out of these three forces, we are interested in this member PU to U3, which is a top chord member force. Now if we see this particular free body diagram of this truss, when we have taken section 1-1 and when we have taken the right hand side of the section, if you observe one thing, when unit load is moving from L1 to L2, means it is on left hand side of the section. So here for a calculation purpose, we have taken its right hand side to avoid the calculation of 1. Now here in this particular free body diagram, you can take moment of all these forces about point L3 is equal to 0. So here we know this distance in this case. Now here we have taken the length of one panel is a small l. So as we have total 6 panels, so the total length of this truss is 6 into L. So now here if you see, if we take moment of all the forces about point L3 is equal to 0 in this case, we can take the moment of this PU to U3 about L3. So that is PU to U3 into H. It will be creating anti-clockwise movement, hence it is minus. And second force we have R2 into this distance. Now here in this case, this distance is L3 into L7. Now when we'll solve this, you will be getting PU to U3 is equal to minus R2 into L3 L7 upon H. So therefore this minus sign, if you observe here this minus sign, it indicates that the assumption of this PU to U3 is wrong. Initially we have taken the PU to U3 as a tensile in nature, but here in this case, here we are getting minus sign. Minus sign shows that our assumption is wrong, hence we need to correct our assumption. So in this case, PU to U3 will be equal to R2 into L3 L7 upon H, which is compressive in nature. Now if you observe this equation of PU to U3, if you observe this numerator, that is R2 into L3 L7, if I take this point L3 and if I take the bending moment by considering this truss as a simply supported beam, if I consider bending moment at a point L3, if I take right hand side of this L3, so to take bending moment I need to take R2 into L3 L7. So if you observe this numerator, particular numerator, then you can observe here, you can say this is the equation of a bending moment of this particular truss about point L3. So here you can say that PU to U3 is nothing but equals to bending moment at a point L3 divided by H, considering the right hand side of this point L3. Now similarly here in this case, as we have taken the right hand side of the section when unit load is moving from L1 to L2. Now let us see what happens when unit load moves from L3 to L7. Now here in this case, when unit load moves from L3 to L7, again I am taking a section 1, and here we have taken the left hand side of the section. So here when we have taken the left hand side of the section, again it cuts these three members and all these member forces get exposed. Again initially we are assuming that all these forces are tensile in nature. So now here we'll consider when unit load moves from L3 to L7. So here in this case, unit load is on right hand side of this section. It is on right hand side of the section. So we can go for the calculation of left hand side to avoid the calculation of 1. So now here in this case, now again in this free body diagram, we can take moment of all the forces about point L3 is equal to 0. Though this point L3 is on right hand side of the section, but we can take easily the moment of all the forces about point L3 is equal to 0. Now when we are taking moment of all the forces about point L3 is equal to 0, here we'll get Pu to U3 into this height is h, and moment of this R1 as R1 into L1 L3. It creates a clockwise movement, hence it is plus, and also movement of this Pu to U3 is again clockwise. So when we'll find now Pu to U3, again we are getting the same answer, that is minus R1 into L1 L3 upon h. As minus sign we are getting means of our assumption of Pu to U3 is wrong, hence we need to correct the assumption. So here Pu to U3 is equal to R1 into L1 L3 upon h, which is compressive in nature. Again we can do the same thing here. If I take again this truss as a simply supported beam, and if I take bending moment at this particular point L3 by considering the left hand side of this L3, I can find here it is R1 multiplied by L1 into L3. So here particularly this numerator, you can say that Pu to U3 is equal to bending moment at L3 divided by h. So here it is considering of left hand side of L3. So we can now summarize here this case. Now here first we studied that when unit load moves from L1 to L2. Now when unit load moves from L1 to L2, we obtain that the force in member U to U3 is equal to R2 into L3 L7 upon h, which is compressive in nature, means it is bending moment at L3 divided by h. So simply we can say that when unit load is moving from L1 to L2, force in member U to U3 varies like a bending moment at a point L3 divided by h. Now similarly, when unit load moves from L3 to L7, when it moves from L3 to L7, again we are getting Pu to U3 as R1 into N1 L3 upon h, which is again compressive in nature. It is just like the variation of bending moment at a point L3. Hence, in general, we can say that when unit load moves from L1 to L7, force in member U to U3 varies like equation of a bending moment at L3. So here in this case, to draw the influence line diagram for Pu to U3, we can use the concept of simply supported beam. As we discussed in last videos, that when a unit load moves over simply supported beam, and when we are interested bending moment at a particular section, we get such type of influence line diagram where maximum ordinate of this influence line diagram is AB upon L, where A is the distance of this section from left end and B is the distance of this section from right end. In this case also, we can say that here the force in member U to U3 varies according to the bending moment at L3. So same influence line diagram which we used for bending moment, we can use it for Pu to U3 also. So now let us see how to draw the influence line diagram for Pu to U3. Now as we discussed that here Pu to U3 varies according to the bending moment at L3 by considering the both side of this L3. Here in this case, for bending moment at L3, we know the maximum ordinate for influence line diagram, which is AB by L. Now here in this case, if we observe this point L3 in this case, this distance becomes small a and this distance becomes small b. So here in this case, this becomes a. So here in this case now, A will be equal to length of these two panels, that is 2 into L, and B here in this case is equal to 4L, that is length of these 4 panels. So it is 4 into L divided by 6L upon H. So here PU to U3 or ordinate of PU to U3 will be getting as 4L upon 3H when unit load reaches to point L3. So here we can obtain, this is the influence line diagram for force in member U to U3, that is equal to 4L upon 3H, which is the maximum ordinate at a point L3. So here in general we can say that when unit load moves from L1 to L7, the influence line diagram initially it varies from 0, then it reaches to maximum at a point L3. When unit load reaches to point L3, force in member U to U3 reaches to its maximum value, that is 4L upon 3H, and then again when unit load moves from L3 to L7, again it reaches to 0 in this case. So this is the way to draw the influence line diagram for member force P U to U3. Similarly, we can draw the influence line diagram for other forces. Now if I take member force P U1 U2 in this case, for member force P U1 U2, here in this case, if I see the member here in this case, in the last case if you observe, here we have taken point L3 for a bending moment. In case of member U1 U2, we have to take bending moment at L2. So therefore for bending moment at L2, when we draw the bending moment diagram, influence line diagram for bending moment at L2, here we'll be getting A is equal to length of this first panel, and here small b is equal to length of this remaining 5 panels. So for member U1 U2, in this case A will be equal to small l and B is equal to 5 times L. So here you'll be getting P U1 U2 whose maximum ordinate as 5L upon 6H. So here in this case we can draw the influence line diagram for member force P U1 U2 as like this. We can say that when unit load moves from L1 to L2, the value of PU1 U2 varies from 0 to 5L upon 6H, means when unit load reaches to point L2, member force PU1 U2 is maximum, that is 5L upon 6H, and again when unit load moves from L2 to L7, again it decreases to 0 when it reaches to point L7. So similarly for next member like U3 U4, we can draw the influence line diagram. Here we are having maximum ordinate. Again we can say that when unit load moves from L1 to L7, member force, that is PU3 U4, varies like this. It varies from 0 to 3L by 2H, and then from 3L by 2H then it decreases to 0 in this case. Now if you observe here, to remember such diagrams or without any calculation, if you are interested to draw the influence line diagrams for top chord member, then it is very simple to remember this. Now how to remember it? Just see now first member, for example U2 U3. Now for this particular member U2 U3, if you see its opposite joint, here its opposite joint is L3. So one thing you can remember here, the maximum ordinate for influence line diagram for PU2 U3 occurs at L3. Similarly, when you are taking U1 U2, its opposite joint is L2. So maximum ordinate for PU1 U2 occurs at L2. You can see in the influence line diagram for PU1 U2. Similarly, for this member U3 U4, its opposite joint is L4. So maximum ordinate for PU3 U4 will occur at L4. So this is the way to locate the maximum ordinate point. And how to find out the magnitude of this point? It is again very simple. You just take small a and small b distances according to these joints which are opposite to these members, and just take a and b in the calculation, and you can get the maximum ordinates in this particular point. So therefore now once we draw the influence line diagram for these three members U1 U2, U2 U3 and U3 U4, if you see these three members, they are exactly symmetric, and hence when you are going to draw the influence line diagram for these remaining three members, you can just draw it just like considering the last case. Here it is just a symmetric truss, hence it is just like a mirror view of these last three diagrams. So in this way we can draw the influence line diagrams for top chord members. Here the logic to remember is that you just see the member particular, see its opposite joint. At its opposite joint, the respective maximum ordinate will occur for this particular influence line diagram. And to find out its magnitude, you just need to take the left hand side of that distance and right hand side of the distance, like small a and small b. By putting this value, you can easily find out the ordinate of these diagrams.